Next speaker, Tomas Chroust. He is partner data and analytics AI at BearingPoint. He has over 19 years experience, including 12 years of IT strategy and transformation consulting experience. He has expertise in areas as diverse as data strategy, data architecture, advanced analytics, visual analytics, intelligent agents, that's say artificial intelligence. And his focus currently is on the conception, design, and implementation of technology-driven digital transformations. And this is exactly what he's going to be talking about in his presentation. Tomas, thank you very much for joining us, and I look forward to your presentation.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our presentation of data-driven sustainability along the supply chain. My name is Tomas Chroust, and I'm leading our GSA Data Analytics AI practice. I will talk about this very interesting topic that is affecting all of us. Let me briefly introduce myself. As a cross-industry technology partner with a focus on data and AI, I've had the pleasure to work on a variety of mandates around data analytics, and in particular, having always the focus on generating business value and insight through fact-based decision-making process. In the course of the presentation, you will see that the topic data-driven, in particular in the context of sustainability, is still quite a challenge. Let me briefly introduce shortly our company. We are an independent partner-owned management and technology company focusing on innovative solutions for our clients, covering strategic ambitions and digital transformation journeys. With almost 5,000 people, we are not only supporting and advising our clients in more than 78 countries, but also co-creating jointly IPs and assets with our and for our clients. You will see also in the end how we are tackling the sustainability topic through a highly sophisticated but also modular emission calculator. In the area of sustainability, we are supporting our clients by offering an end-to-end approach, leveraging our industry expertise and technology depth. In our operating model, we are covering managed services, advisory, and consulting, but we also offer SaaS-based solutions to our clients. Amongst others, we support the world's largest sports brand and largest furniture company with realizing their sustainability ambitions. In order to meet strategic objectives for sustainability goals, we help our clients in setting up their sustainability programs. In those initiatives, typically we are covering business-specific processes and challenges, technology requirements, but also data analytic insights and predictive elements. In our own BearingPoint Institute report, we are regularly publishing and sharing thought leadership with industry-specific deep dives. Now, what has been the driver for sustainability and what's the data-driven part of it? So over the past 10 years, few topics have gained as much as focus in corporate boardrooms across the world as sustainability. Guided by the UN Sustainability Development Goals, the SDGs, businesses have been committing to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, eliminate slave labor, provide decent work conditions, limit plastics, conserve water use in production, tap into renewable energy sources, and more. And over the past several months, with the COVID-19 crisis spreading across the world, few concepts attracted as much attention among business leaders as resilience. The good news is that sustainability and resilience go hand in hand. Businesses that have adopted sustainable practices will also find it easier to prevail in difficult times. I will give you few examples why sustainability is a competitive factor. If we start with innovation, you have heard about examples on building resource efficient facilities and smart cities, creating robotic bees, simple installations of supermarket herb gardens or autonomous solar balloons, bringing electricity to disaster zones, and many more. Also today, we also have heard the very interesting presentation from Annabelle from Uber around more usage of AI and data for basically allocating and utilizing the data that is already available and saving also many polluting factors. These are just few examples where you can see that new businesses are being created. So when you deploy sustainability measures and monitoring system, you may achieve also better risk mitigation and improved resilience, since you have more understanding on the impacts within your supply chain. Actually, successful insurance and reinsurance companies are dealing nowadays with lots of additional data to have intelligence on the business continuity management insurance policies that they provide. One of the most prevalent factors is to save costs and also understand the energy bill and cost saving potentials, as well as deploying reusable products wherever possible. These are just few examples on successful areas where businesses can save costs. Within the procurement area, establishing better procurement metrics is allowing to measure suppliers' sustainability performance and helping to make optimal strategic decisions in favor of sustainable goals for both suppliers and buyers. Since customers are demanding credible stories based on scientific facts and data, product with those characteristics drive increased sales revenue. Last but not least, millennials are pro-environment and pro-sustainable development and want to have a brighter future and have a lot of impact on this. Therefore, companies investing in sustainability goals are attracting new talents and keeping the retention high. So what are the potential benefits for businesses by creating insights on sustainability? First of all, since there is a common pattern that the sustainable marketed products are growing almost 6 times faster than conventionally marketed products, the revenue increase is being derived from increased brand and product value. Another major factor is obviously the cost decrease, with multiple saving levers around energy, bill of facilities, manual carbon calculations, reduced buying price of owned labeled products, reduced rates on investment capital, and being prepared for future governmental regulations. Since many of the companies are already investing heavily in their sustainability transparency, the need for providing measures to the ecosystem becomes an ultimate driver as well. Nowadays, most of the companies are focusing their strengths on sustainability reporting in the light of CSR and less in terms of supply chain aspects. This has certainly to deal with the fact that the process of establishing a thorough measuring and monitoring system or platform around the supply chain reveals many challenges. But in order to tackle these, you need to have extensive monitoring capabilities in place. It is not enough to apply pure estimates anymore. The technology capabilities and data sets around the supply chain have evolved dramatically, from streaming of IoT, RFID sensor chips to high valuable and predictive dashboards. Nowadays, every operational manager can act on in real time. So what are the current challenges? Where we start around elaborated on the challenges. Already in 2015, the UN defined 17 sustainable development goals to achieve in 2030. As you know, for instance, cities like Copenhagen, they are already on a trip to achieve those goals in 2025. in being zero carbon. Those were factors around environmental, social, and corporate governance measures. So the spectrum of measurement is quite broad and not as sharp as for determining right and proper data sources. Thorough definitions on KPIs and data curation and provisioning frameworks need to be in place in order to have a fact-based and continuous performance monitoring in place. As we see in practice, many companies started with numerous assessments and questionnaires that are not consistently applied over several dimensions, such as first, second, and third tier suppliers sharing their data, for instance, on code of conduct, suppliers audits, standards and certifications, or more detailed due diligence reports, and also in-depth environmental impact assessments, and so on. So there is a very nice vision of the triple bottom line reporting, where companies would report on their economic, environmental, and social performance as one entity. But in practice, we see only very few companies are actually having this already established in place. So from a data challenge point of view, where do we see issues in measuring and monitoring sustainability aspects? So for instance, many times there is a lack of granular data for measuring indirect emissions on a variety of information dimensions, such as product level or production factory machine. Another fact is that is multiplying complexity is data heterogeneity, where different taxonomies and data standards are existing. Therefore, the need for proper data governance becomes prevalent. If you have ever experienced integration challenges within your own company boundaries, then the data management challenges are exploding when you need to integrate and link up siloed second and third tier suppliers' data sources. So data quality and time validity are also some very important aspects to be addressed as well. And in terms of ESG reporting standards, it is also not as simple as it could be. Therefore, you need to consider various metric definitions, since there is not a unique global standard. So, what is our approach? How we go about basically a holistic treatment on the data-driven aspects? So, carbon is embedded in every aspect of the supply chain. After you have understood how carbon is embedded into your value chain, you may decide to segment work on one or more of the supply chain areas, namely sourcing and procurement, manufacturing, logistics, disposal, or customer channels. Based on these areas, you will have to select the right set of goals and KPIs to drive performance. As highlighted here in this supply chain, a company could pick up specific actions under each of these stages of supply chain to reduce its carbon footprint. For example, low carbon product design will have an impact all through the chain. Similarly, suppliers of greenhouse gas intensive products will play an important role in reducing emissions for that product's value chain. Products which are very energy intensive in manufacturing are playing an important role. For substances like paints and adhesives, application to the product is an energy intensive fact, and any company who would want to address end-to-end greenhouse gas emissions in supply chain will have to work closely with customers to achieve an impact. We are also observing that companies are considering environmental factors in their tactical and strategic planning. For example, understanding climate change related risk and how it is going to have an impact on the oil feed supply could be a significant input for strategic planning. So understanding the short-term impact of impending weather events could be leveraged for tactical logistics plannings as well. How are we at BearingPoint tackling the challenge on making relevant data available for monitoring and measuring purposes? So first, you need to collect all your own already existing environmental, social, and corporate governance data and imply goals to establish going forward missing data elements. This would also cover suppliers' data and third-party logistics data. More and more, it's relevant to also consider especially open data sets or additional sources from data aggregators, as well as from testing and certification companies such as TÜV or SGS. So having the layered data approach enabled, your calculations are based on most granular data available. By processing large amounts of activity-based data, you gain detailed insights on supply chain hotspots where your sustainability goals needs to be improved. Surely, you will need to have a wide range of fallback options for missing data in the integrated system. As I already briefly described in the introduction, we are providing a SaaS-based emission calculator platform, which is highly modular and that can deal with a variety of data sources and different granularities. The platform is complying to existing reporting standards, and in this way, you are able to execute your product carbon footprint from cradle to grave, capturing raw materials, acquisition, production, warehousing and distribution, the use of products, and also in the demolition. Just few use cases that I would like to mention. So if you are having several plants producing the same product, of course, you would like to understand in detail why the emission for plant A is higher than the emission for plant B. What are the drivers for this difference? Is it purely because of the distance to the supplier? Are there any production inefficiencies, or is this the distance to the market? In order to answer those questions, you need to have a fairly granular data set. In the second use case, you make the transparency on the product level for the customer, so that the customer is able to make conscious buying decision by being informed about the respective emissions. As one of the third example is you would like to basically simulate some new measures to determine the impact of a supply chain amendment before you implement it. So for instance, what is the impact if you deploy e-trucks in your logistics and last mile chain distribution? So these were just few examples that have been already successfully deployed, so the journey can go on. Just to summarize, our recommendation to deploy a data-driven sustainability along the supply chain. So you need to leverage a modular, adaptable data platform with the capability to provide complete insights into the full value chain. It is necessary to deal with different data granularities and use the most accurate one that is available. There should be a strong analytical capability embedded in the platform so that you can monitor and react in near time. Important aspect to consider is to be compliant and in line with greenhouse gas protocol calculation frameworks and science-based targets. Ideally, a digital process twin will enable you to simulate new initiatives around sustainability in your supply chain. Thank you very much for your time, and please come back to me if you have any further questions and are interested in further details. Also, I would like to mention that we are having a data thinking workshops tomorrow, where we will go through into some more details and aspects on some relevant data elements and challenges around this particular topic.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Thomas. That was a very interesting presentation. And I also encourage you to go to the workshop and ask your questions. Unfortunately, due to time limits, we have to move on to the next presentation. There are two questions for me here in the chat, and it's about those presentations. We will make them, of course, accessible. You can rewatch the videos on swap cards, and we will, upload the videos in the coming days.